this hangout on air is live. It took you long enough.
Shut your face. You bad instructions. I'm using that as my first 5 minutes of explaining. Your instructions are god awful. I gotta find my charger so I don't hang up on you.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that.
It's not about what you like, sir. All right, it says live right now. So now what do I do?
That's it.
All right. Well, what's going? So let's start this. What are we going to talk about today, Scott?
Well, ultimately, I was curious about QA, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on an event that has just transpired.
Okay.
And so I had Brian on literally like 10 minutes ago. And I've talked, this is like my third time talking to him. And he's in LA. And our conversation went from like really, really boring talking about programming and UI stuff to talking about racism in America.
Okay. It exists. Bam.
And I started feeling really uncomfortable because it's the conversations that's common to have, like at the bar or at the card table playing spades. Like, but when it's on a conversation that's on a public platform for people that are not black or predominantly white to listen to, there's some things that can be easily taken out of context.
Okay.
And so my thought process is like, I went ahead and I listed the video as private, either private or unlisted, one of them, so that people can't find it. Yeah, that reminds me, I probably need to delete the Twitter saying that this was streaming. But like, what's your philosophy? Do you just raw and uncut, and it is what it is? You can't hide what's done,
as racism,
or no? Like, my fear is mainstream is going to watch the video. They might fast forward, completely lose the context of what our conversation was about, and immediately start getting upset or start feeling very uncomfortable based on the content that was being discussed. It was that type of conversation where you have to listen at the very beginning once we got on the subject to understand why the conversation got to where it got.
Okay. I take it it got heated.
No, it didn't get heated between him and I, but he's probably had some personal experiences that I haven't experienced. He's a little bit older than I am, and so
is he African American or what's?
Of course.
Okay. I don't know. I've never met him.
And so he started going really like deep into what America wants to hide. You know?
Slots.
The slots.
There's lots.
Oh, yeah. And so he started like going ham on the subconscious racism. Is that my phone? Where my phone at? He started just going ham,
Okay.
And he was going really, really hard, really, really into it. That I feel like, yo, man, you can't be. I didn't tell him, but I'm like, oh, you going too hard, man. You gotta like chill out. Let's talk about something else. And he kept on going. He kept on going hard, and like, I won't say he was making white people feel bad, but I was starting to feel uncomfortable because I felt like it might be a career limiting move just to be entertaining the conversation. The thing is
the fact that you can say something like that just tells me and reiterates to me more that it is what it is. The fact that you have to even have a feeling of, I can't let this out, or I don't want somebody to say this, that, and the other, be it either side, be it pro, be it con, that I don't believe in it. There's something there that I believe, and I don't even kind of second guess. I know for sure that it's out there. There's nothing about it that it's not out there. Is it being? Uh, I do believe personally that it's, hey, we don't want you to know, but it's rules to the game. So if you don't follow the rules, you get pooped on. And that's not the word I would like to use, but that's just exactly what it is, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Do I
So
want to go?
should I just publish it? Because usually it would be automatically published. If I'm like, oh nah, they gonna eat me alive.
I
These
would get.
people, they pay me. I can't let them. I can't bite the hand that feeds me, and I'm not biting the hand that feeds me. But I feel like,
I would talk to him first.
no, I mean, I talked to him, and like he understood where I was coming from.
Is he okay with you publishing? Do you feel that you would have an
He,
issue, or he would have an issue?
I feel that. Well, I think I think he's at the state where he he wants to keep it real, and that he's telling it how it is. Like I think that that's his perspective.
His reality.
Well, that too, and I'm like, there's a lot of things that are reality that need to be articulated a certain type of way to not offend people that are pretty powerful.
Again, what I'm saying is goes back to what I said earlier, is the fact that you have that idea. It pretty much answers the question: is it or isn't it? It's right there. I mean, I unfortunately I don't, like I say, I understand where you're coming from, but the pure fact of it is that it is out there. It's not something that's unknown. I do believe, depending on your background and how you grew up, it, either you associate to it or you don't. But it's out there. I mean, it's worldwide. It's not an American thing. It's worldwide, and it is what it is.
Yeah. So you think I should release it?
I'm not saying you should release it. I'm saying that you should, in my opinion, I do completely and utterly understand, since you're putting something on the web. I do believe everything is tracked. I do believe everything has some type of tag on it. And if they feel or they deem a way of, hey, you could be an issue, boom, you tagged.
Uh,
The same way that, I don't know what the guy's name is, and I apologize for not remembering, but the dude who was the guy that was, I think he went to Russia after, because he was like part of counterintelligence, or he was something, and I'm speaking extremely loosely, but he left, and he didn't leave to
Eric
go, or no,
Snowden.
yeah, to, was it North Korea or Russia? Was it?
You talking
It
about
was
Eric
one.
Snowden?
Yeah, so it was
Russia.
something. Yeah, it was. He ended up having to leave, and he didn't go to a friendly country like, oh, I'm just going to go to Australia and I'll be all right. He went somewhere that he felt that he would be okay, based off of the knowledge that he has. And for you to, like, if you just sit back and think about that, like, I'm gonna talk to you like I normally talk to you, like, if we talk about some old gangster movies, like, the friend of my enemy is my friend. And just, like I say, if you really take that into consideration, that's saying a lot. That's a very loaded statement for you to actually just sit there and think about it. Where are you going to go? Oh, I got to get out of the States. Where am I going to go? I'm going to go to Russia. What? Well, we're not really in the greatest, they don't have the greatest outlook about us right now. And again, I don't know that for sure, but that's where he went. So you have to think about that. You got to kind of like think outside the lines at times. Everything surface level that's coming to you isn't, that's, and I know I talked to you about that a lot, about education and everything. It's a very loaded statement, and the further you dig in, the further you learn about the smoke and mirrors. And at times, do you really want to look into those smoke and mirrors? Because it does become scary. And like I say, we talk about that, and I'm not going to go into it, but we talk about the same thing with religion. It's a very scary thing when you, again, you're brought up a certain type of way, and we've had very long conversations about it. What's your outlook now? So imagine that being the place where you came from, or imagine that being the place that you worked at, or imagine that being, the system that you grew up in. It's a very loaded statement, and it, you know, you look at the people who speak against it. Where are they at? You could put that in the Black Panthers. You could put that against our peaceful leaders. You could put that against our semi-peaceful leaders that tell you to bear, don't be afraid to bear your own arms. And that goes into, this is another segue. I remember watching a YouTube video of, it was a comparison of a African American walking around with a
I
assault
saw it too.
rifle,
He was with
and
his pregnant girlfriend.
right
I
with his
saw it.
pregnant girlfriend, and along with a Caucasian male walking with his, and it
Yep.
was a completely different type of interaction.
And supposedly the same city.
No, it was the same city. It was the same city.
Yeah.
I'm speaking loosely. I could be wrong, but
I
again,
saw the same video, and it's absolutely true. Like,
exactly.
there's a different reaction with it. It's a different reaction, and I mean, I've told people, like, yo, some areas, man, I feel like they treat black folks as if they are the pit bulls of the human race. Like, you have to exercise caution, right? And it's
I think it's worse than that.
you're absolutely right. Like, there's a different response, and it's the same thing with like the one dude that got gunned down. I thought he was in Charlotte. He was somewhere. It wasn't Charlotte. He was in Minnesota, where he had a license to carry, and he got pulled over in his car, and he had a girlfriend and his girlfriend's child in the back
And he
seat.
told him about it.
And supposedly he said that he was carrying a weapon that he had a permit for, and supposedly he was requested to reach for his driver's license.
And got shot.
He reached for his driver's license and got lit up. And I'm not
Well,
laughing. I'm just
that
like,
wasn't
it's so
that wasn't.
expected. It's so
I don't think
expected.
that was. I don't know if it was. I think that was in Ohio.
No, I
What?
don't think it was. I,
Are you sure?
no, I'm sure it wasn't. It wasn't Ohio, but he got lit up. And the thing is, it's like, it's a double standard. Um, you have the right to bear arms, and legally, if you go through the legal process, which supposedly he did. But you know what?
It
Yeah,
doesn't
your
matter.
skin color, it makes you. We think you're more of a danger. So even though you went through the legal process and you paid us the money to do it, you're not a human being. Um, you don't have the same rights as mainstream. So it's you're right. It is the truth. And even though the Constitution is supposed to represent all Americans,
It does it.
the people that enforce the
Does it?
protection, the people that enforce the protection of the Constitution, nah, they
If
they
if if
they
you take
reserve
into
the right to pick and choose who they want to enforce the protection of the civil rights for,
well,
or
I'm not
preserve.
gonna go too far into it, but at the same time, I don't think the Constitution was for us. And if you look at the time that it was written, it
It was
definitely
like
wasn't
three
for us.
fifths. I forgot how they originally framed it for African for black men. I thought it was like, I
You
keep
have
having this fraction,
stipulations.
three fifths.
If you keep the fact that you have to justify that it's in a fraction type standpoint, that should tell you a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
unfortunately, like I said, and I'm not. Hey, I love America. I love I love where I'm from. But at the same time, you really have to take into consideration, you know, just that. Oh, okay, we gotta put stipulations in it. When you start putting stipulations, or you have to justify any of that, you're not a part of it. You're not. And again, I'm not going to go deep into it because I can go very deep, but I don't believe that that's a part of it. The same way that again goes into religion, it goes into the way the way our educational system is built. You're not built to succeed. You're not. You're built to be a worker. You're not built to be. When you were in school, how many classes did you learn about taxes? How many classes did you learn to be about being financially independent? How many classes did you learn about assets and liabilities and talk about it deeply? And I'm not talking about college, at least as you grow up. Think about social studies. Think about everything that you learn within that. It's huge. But like I say, at the same time, is you could complain about it, or you can be uh, you can try to do your best to
So,
go ahead.
my bad. I'm looking at this three-fifths compromise on Wikipedia. And the Three-Fifths Compromise was a compromise reached between delegates from southern states and those from northern states during
Listen, yep.
the 1787 United States
What
Constitutional Convention.
say that year again?
The year was 1787,
Were we not slaves?
apparently.
All right, then
And
go
it
ahead.
says the debate was over whether, and if so, how slaves would be counted when determining a state's total population for legislative representation and taxing purposes.
You're
The
not
issue
even counted. Go ahead.
the issue was important as this population number would then be used to determine the number of seats that the state would have in the United States House of Representatives for the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
effect was to give the southern states a third more seats in Congress and a third more electoral votes than if slaves had been ignored,
Mm-hmm.
but fewer than if slaves and free persons had been counted equally, allowing the slaveholder interest to largely dominate the government of the United States until 1861. The compromise was proposed by delegates James Wilson
Mm-hmm.
and Roger Sherman. So
Mm-hmm.
we gonna find out who their descendants were, and this James Wilson. And so yeah, I remember in like I don't know if it was high school, them talking about how like black people were representing three-fifths of a human being or something to that effect.
Listen to what you're saying, though. I mean, like I say, I guess it's when you I guess from my opinion, the outlook of what you're saying, you don't even really put, and I would say most people don't really even take that into consideration. That you're not even looked at as a whole,
Yeah.
and it's the I guess the fact of it is that's kind of still going on. Um, Before we even go any further on this, do you have my name tagged on this?
It has your first name on it. You put that there.
Okay, that's cool. I could deal with the first name. Because I don't want this associated with too much. No, I don't. Like I said, I completely understand what you're saying. But I've done a couple podcasts and I've talked a lot about this particular area. Um, you just really have to, and I like so as we normally talk, and we talked about religion. That was probably one of the biggest punches in the face that um, as growing up the way we did, I learned a lot, but I learned a lot based off of being in that realm and that certain area or that certain understanding of religion. And then when you step aside from it, you learn a lot. The same way that I learned about our educational system and the school that I went to. I remember a lot of people talking bad against it, but I learned a lot. I'm not saying I learned enough, but I learned a lot. Now, when I started to step aside and do my own secondary learning, it then started I started to have an understanding that a lot of it is manufactured. And when you start to get into that point, it's just like, well, usually, when people start to manufacture something, it's for a reason. They don't just start building just to build. There's a reason for it. And I think once you start to unravel things, yeah, you start to walk into a whole nother realm that, I believe that a lot of people are scared to go into. And I could say I'm one of them. First of all, you walk into a situation where you walk into learning that some of the stuff that you grew up in and you took a hold of is total BS. Same way that hopefully there's no kids watching this. The first time that if you grew up as a Christian and you celebrated Christmas and you learned that Santa Claus isn't real, that's like one of the first levels of, oh wow, well, so that's not real. What do you mean that's not real? But that's what you told me was real. Well, we just told you that because, we wanted you to appreciate, Christmas and giving. But I'm not giving anything. You just told me that some big fat white dude just came down the chimney and gave us gifts. But it's my daddy and my mama working their butts off to get us these gifts. Why not me show you? Why not tell me that you're the person that does this and I show you complete appreciation? Because this is what you decided to do for me and my sister and my brother and my cousins. That it's smoke and mirrors. Now that's the small part. Now once you start to, and again, I've done a lot of reading over the last, I could say, 4 or 5 years, and my eyes have, been opened. Now I'm not saying I'm the all-knowing, Alibaba, and I just know everything, but I've learned a lot. And I think for some, at least with my parents, at least on one side, they decided to, okay, I think he's ready to be able to get a better understanding. And our conversation started to change. And, once I started to see those changes, originally I was fearful. I was overwhelmed. Like, this is total BS. And I got angry at first. Like, why wouldn't you tell me this at a younger age? And it was the same type of thing with the Santa Claus thing. It was the same type of thing with the educational system thing. And well, now you're ready. Well, why? In my whole opinion, why wouldn't you tell me that from the beginning? I don't want to say that. For people who don't have kids, they may have that same type of outlook until they have them. You know what I'm saying? It's a catch. And it gets very, 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 very scary to open that up. And it goes right back to what you were saying before. The powers that be don't want it to be out there. And who are you to question the powers that be? Now, when you start to look back on the people who spoke against the powers that be on a grand scale, they were either in jail or they're dead now. So then what do you do? That's my take.
All right. So shall I release it?
I would, if your friend is okay with it,
Yeah, he
and
doesn't care.
but at the same time, do you care?
I'm not the
Because
one
that's the
offending
next.
people. I'm not
But
the
at
one
the same
offending
time,
people.
you're the person that's the mediator of it.
I look.
So
If people have opinions, they have opinions. They don't speak for
right.
me.
But again, just because they don't speak for you doesn't mean that you're automatically not associated. So once you become associated with a situation, it's almost like you about to be put in RICO. Hey, we don't want this guy doing this, that, and the other. Shut him down. Then what? You can't say, oh, I don't. That's not my opinion. You think they care about that?
What did Obama do with Reverend Wright? He used it as a platform to draw people together, right?
But but again, that's just going. He's first of all, he's questionably, not questionably, he's more powerful than you are, based off of his position. So he has a little bit of a leeway.
Okay.
And second of all, the other thing is that that's it. You're not in the same position. So let's say if you take that into consideration, why didn't he has the power to do a lot. But within his 8 years, there were certain things that he knew he couldn't do from the president's standpoint. So you're a small, like you're a piece of a grain in the sand compared to what he was. And I'm not saying that you can't be the most powerful person in the world. I believe you're intelligent. I believe you're smarter than you even know that you are. But again, you're still based off of all the stuff that you've ever been through and how you grew up. So as much as you and I say that, well, there's certain realms. You know how you talk to me about my job. Ryan, go do this. Ryan, go do that. It's the same thing with you. Like, hey, it's a game. The same way, I remember someone brought this up, and we were at the bar drinking, and they were like, I just don't understand why, and then we were talking about music and rap, and like, I don't understand why Jay-Z don't speak against this and T.I. don't speak against this. You do know why. You just don't like to call it, and just because you're not in their position, you have a basis of, oh, they should be doing this. You don't do it, and you don't even make you make a small fraction of what they make. You feel, oh, they have more of a platform. You can get on the internet and talk shit all day. There's a reason, and it's the same reason you brought up at the very beginning. It's the powers that be, and it's not the president. It just takes time until people start to look into that. But you better believe that they're going to make sure that you don't. And if you don't, okay. So it's a lot more to it. And I'm not saying I got all the answers, because Lord knows I don't. But I got way more than I had when I was 22, 32, and 42. It's a continuous process.
Almost everybody that is black acknowledges that it exists. Everybody else, they don't want to talk about it.
I don't think it's everybody else. I think that's just an extreme blanket statement. Because I remember being downtown.
They don't want to entertain the conversation. And honestly, like, I feel uncomfortable entertaining the conversation. Like, I feel uncomfortable having the conversation with them, because it went from like pet peeves about how like people from like down the way be coming over to my neighborhood at my beach, and they be showing their butt, to all of a sudden once I injected that and we started talking about like prejudice, stereotypes, like everything just went. He was. I mean, he was like dropping. I have to be careful what I say, because I was going to say he was dropping knowledge, but then that means I'm taking sides.
Exactly.
He was making some
valid statements,
interesting statements. Right.
Okay.
I'm still trying to filter myself. He was making some interesting statements. Man, people in power ain't trying to hear that, and I guess I'm a coward for not for reconsidering that to be a platform for people that I don't know what I'm thinking right now. Let's talk about something else. I'm stressed.
No, and like I say, the pure fact again that you have to have this type of idea towards a conversation, especially that's going to be on the web. If it was just me and you, and we sitting in a crowded place, you're still going to have reservations. Now, for the pure fact that you're online and it's extremely accessible, that makes it damn near threatening. And I understand where they're coming from. I do. Like, it's like you had me read the 48 Powers of Law. A lot of that stuff is in there. Now, you'll read it and you apply it to yourself in a fashion of using it against others. You don't really know. You start to look at it like, okay, yeah, I do remember going through that type of situation when somebody did that to me. My boss did that to me. But you don't look at it on a grander scale. And that's just what, I mean, unfortunately, that's how it goes. And like I say, unfortunately, I could tell you like, oh, I'm gonna keep this all, PG. But it's not like they can't attach and find out where I'm calling from. What's my IP address? Easily found. I know where you are. I know where you sit. I know where you at. The same reason why I used to tell people I'm not comfortable with having no damn smartphone. They got location services. They got microphones. They got, man, all you're being watched. And we're zombies. I don't think the Walking Dead is a far fetched thing. That's exactly what we are. And now they got that VR shit. You about to see a whole nother level of people not having conversations with each other.
It's already here.
You say what?
I say it's already here. Like,
And it's going to continue.
I mean, I haven't been to a nightclub in a minute, right? But like, I remember, like, I don't know, it's probably been like a year, and like, you instead of the women like being on the floor twerking, backing it up, they just on their cell phones, like just.
Taking pictures.
I've been to
And
strip
it's
clubs where like they don't even dance on stage anymore. They just be on their phones. Like it's yeah, times have changed. Whatever. I worry about getting ran over on my bike. They just be on their phones. So yeah, I mean, people are zombies. They're out of touch. They're kind of like, I mean, I don't know.
that's it.
I
That's the
don't
key
know.
phrase. That's the key phrase.
I
Everybody
don't.
is out of touch with everybody. They
Yeah.
make it seem like social media keeps you in touch, but it doesn't. It keeps you even further away from it. And I
Yeah.
love social media. But at the same time, I've taken time to stay away from it. Let me ask you this, and you can put this out to everybody that's out there. When's the last time you went to the store without your cell phone?
I did it. To the store. I did it yesterday because I had to charge my cell phone, so I purposely left it. Again, I don't have a car, right? So I
Mhm.
rode my bike, and so I mean, I left my cell phone charging on my bed, and I went to the store and bought some food.
But does it? But at the
I
time,
feel
did
naked.
exactly? That's what I'm about to say. Does it not feel like there's a piece of you that's missing?
Like I watch I would watch like documentaries about rappers that get caught up in the prison system, and like a lot of them, if it's not drugs, it's them getting caught with a gun when they're not supposed to have a gun on them. And like their biggest argument is like, man, I can't leave without my gun. I feel
They
naked.
know
And
that. They
and
know
these, and
that.
these people live in like some hard areas. They live in Memphis or they live in like Watts or something. And like
But they know that though. Again, that's I guess that's the when you look at it from from a smaller perspective, you could kind of understand that. You didn't really grow up in no crazy streets, so you may not immediately associate it with that. And we kind of grew up in an era to a degree where we'll take that ass whooping and keep it moving. You can't do that no more. You can't just whoop somebody's ass and keep it moving like ain't shit happen. Because now you got to watch your back because you scared that he all emotional and he gonna try to kill you. Now, what most people won't do, they'll stop it right there. Well, this is the times we live in. Why is it the times we live in? Now they're like, well, because times are getting worse and this is the end of days. There's a reason why we in the end of days. And it's all and like I say, it's not taking anything away from religion, but it'll be to a degree like again, we grew up in a situation of learning that this is the end of days and you're reaching to the end, but you don't take into consideration the proponents that built that system. The same way that you can barely find males in a household, and I ain't talking about in a house. I said a household. How often do you see that now? How often do you see so many kids with no fathers at the home? And again, that opens up a conversation. And then once you open up that conversation, some people, oh, well, hip hop does this. Where did that come from? Well, the African Americans built that. Well, we built a lot of music. If you look back into it, we've been some of the major proponents of creating music. Now, some of it may have been taken. And I'm not saying we made it all, but there's a lot of proponents in there that we don't get credit for. And I do believe there's a reason for that. And it's not just off of music, it's just overall contributions, even Native Americans, the same way we're taught, not kind of sort of, we're taught that Christopher Columbus discovered America. But there were people there. So how the fuck did you discover something?
I'm curious if Native Americans actually celebrate Thanksgiving. I find that hard to believe.
Even if they did, like I say, no, hold on. But
They're
again,
celebrating like the beginning of the end for
the
their
same
whole.
way the same way that a lot of African Americans celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving and Halloween and Independence Day. You're a product of what you grow up in. Now, when again, like I said before, when people start to question it, it becomes a problem. The same way when we started rioting over people getting killed, there was an agenda to make that look bad. I remember I had a close friend say that, man, I can't believe somebody would say Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. And I looked at him like he was a fucking fool. And he like, man, I don't understand why you so upset. I was like, I don't understand why you're being so ignorant. And he didn't understand where I was coming from. And I tried my best to explain it, and he still didn't get it. So again, it's a part of your life. You know, it's a part of how you grow up, a part of what you go through. The same way I could tell people, like, niggas be like, oh man, I hate cops. You can't hate all cops. But at the same time, I had to take into consideration, I don't know what this man has been through. I don't know what he's seen in his life. Maybe he grew up in a situation where he always saw bad situations. I've been stopped for nothing. And they questioning me about this, that, and the other, about drugs. I had my car searched. I had all type of stuff. I told you before, I was drunk as shit one day and got stopped by the cops for speeding. They go through my whole car looking for guns and drugs, not even considering the fact that he just drunk. and he just speeding. He trying to go get some action. They didn't even think about that. They saw what they wanted to see, and they searched for what they see, and then sent out somebody who was drunk back to go ahead and go home. So you, like I say, it's all about, it's a lot about what you grow up into. It's a lot about what you go through. And I remember that, and people used to laugh at that. Well, at least you got away. I was like, but again, you look at it from a surface level. I
just remember like, and the more I think about it, the more I actually get angry. It's like, for someone that has never like experimented with drugs, I've had my car searched so many times for drugs, and it's like, why?
But you know why?
Why are you throwing? Why are you pulling me out of my car?
You know why?
Why are you dumping all the contents out of my car?
You know why?
Why are you telling me to shut up when I ask you, why are you doing this?
Because you know why.
And it's like, then they get upset.
Because
I listened to McGruff as a kid in front of the television. You know what I mean?
You know too much. You know too much. We don't expect you to know that. And that's being dead serious. The same way, and like I said, I've talked to you about some perceptions that you have, and I'm not gonna go into detail about it, but you know what I'm talking about. And I'll be like, well, Scott, you can't think everybody's like that. No, man, but you don't get it. No, I do get it, and I find it crazy for the pure fact that you've gone through shit based off of the color of your skin and who you are, and they don't even know you, but they're gonna judge you a certain type of way. So it's very hard. But I understand it.
I done been posted up, like outside of a shop. I know. A cop will roll up, stop in mid traffic, ask for my ID, and the first thing I do is give them my ID. Where I don't even have to give them my ID unless they tell me what I'm being accused of. But that only works for white people. And then like being sat down on the sidewalk, still having no clue what's happening. More squad cars block the entire intersection. Because
we're not going to deal with you by yourself.
And me and three of my friends are sitting with like Indian style on the sidewalk with our hands under our butt cheeks for half an hour on Monticello and Noble. Having no clue. I was just posted up.
There's a reason for that. And like I say, the funny part about it is we can laugh that off now.
It's angry. You can only laugh at things that you like can't understand. Like you just whatever. Yo, I'm
No,
pissed
so
off now.
no, there's no. I mean, yeah, yeah, but at the same time, it's a it's a conversation that everybody doesn't want to have. And the one of the things I started, looking into, and I've had to, kind of check myself about a few things because again, once you open up Pandora's box, it's kind of hard to close that shit. And then, like I said, one of the first reactions that I had was about religion. And then it became about education. And then it became about just relationships in general, or where we're at right now. And then I had to look at myself about a whole bunch of stuff like, Ryan, you're, the same way you'll be in a relationship, something goes wrong. The first thing you're going to do is blame the other person. You really are.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I can't believe this broad did this. She's a whore. Well, but you were treating her bad. No, but that doesn't mean she should cheat on me. She's a whore. And I knew she was a whore from the beginning. Well, what did you bring to it? Oh, well, I don't want to talk about that, man. I loved her. Well, what else did you do? But I loved her. No, but she did something else. Well, and then as time goes on, like, man, I ain't treat her right. I was kind of, doing my own thing from time to time. But she didn't know nothing about it. That shit starts to come out. And I think what's happening right now with America and as a whole, it's never been none of this stuff has not happened. And I remember you saying the exact same thing. Now it's just more of it is just being recorded, and that's
Yeah.
it. And that's it.
That's my
Nothing has
argument
changed.
about a certain subset of people saying that we are living in the times of the end. I'm like, no, we're not. We just have technology now. Okay.
Right, and you get to see it now. Now I do believe the weather is getting worse. I'm not going. I can you can watch that as it goes. But again, that's according to me. That's my truth. It may not be your truth. It's the feeling I have. But like I say, I think it's just more of a now everything is being televised, everything is being recorded, everything is being pushed out, and they're trying to find a way, and they have their ways. I'm not going to speak into them, but it's very easy to pick up because it's something that's there 24/7. They find ways of minimizing it. The same way that I had the same conversation with a friend. All lives matter. I'm not saying that all lives don't, but there's no way, if you truly look into it, that you feel that we're equal and we're treated equal. And they're like, well, affirmative action, there's a reason why affirmative action was put into place. That's what people like. I did their affirmative action is, it's pointless now. It's not. It's not. The same way that, everybody has an opportunity to get out of it. And I'll say me and you are probably some of the worst ways that people explain that affirmative action isn't needed. We bust our asses to get to where we're at. Now, does that make it fair? Does that make it the same educational system that you grew up in? Did, could you imagine, and this is what I usually ask people, can you imagine if you grew up in a Chardon school district or a private school and you weren't going, you weren't breaking your back trying to go to school, or your parents had to break your back to go their back to go to school? Imagine you both of your parents well off. Y'all got that third, fourth, fifth generation money. You going to school. Imagine you going to school without having to pay for college.
Dude, I got a trust fund, right?
Right. So again, so imagine having that same type of leeway of, hey, when you went to, what did you do when you went to school? You worked, right?
Yeah, man.
Imagine having that same opportunity. You completely subtract the fact that you have to work, which takes out time from studying, doing homework, or networking with people. Imagine you having all your what's a good word for it? I don't know. I can't think of a good word for it. But imagine you have
Hunger,
all that
drive,
time.
what?
No, just imagine having all that ability of you have your ability to put your time and efforts all into that. because that's all you're doing is going to school. You're gonna party a little bit, but you're not partying on Friday night trying to. Well, let me go ahead and get you drinks in and go kick it with these people because I got to go to school in the morning. What if you ain't got to go to? What if you ain't got to go to work in the morning and you ain't doing nothing but study? And imagine where you would be. Imagine where I would be. I'm not saying I'm pretty sure I'd be better off. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think I would have been further ahead.
Exactly. So now, once you take college out of it, think about the educational system you grew up in, and this public school. I'm not saying the school you went to was terrible. I'm not saying the school I went to was terrible.
The school you went to is terrible.
Okay, well, but at the same time, I still made it out.
Yeah, yeah.
So again, think about, and I will say, thank God I stayed in a lot of the classes that I went into, because those classes helped me pass some of the college classes that I first walked into. I remember, and I told you before, the one class that I had issues with was English. It's not that I couldn't speak it. It's not that I couldn't write it. I just hated reading at the time. And I had a problem with comprehension with having, those deadlines. It wasn't that I couldn't do it. I just didn't want to. And then at the same time, the math and science stuff was like easy to me. I didn't even I made a study the night before. Even when I was in college, it was the same way. I was just walking into classes. I read the book, boom, go ace a test. Go ace a test. Oh, right. Well, the only classes that really gave me issues was economics and English. I didn't care about history until I would say I got into it was like a historical art. It was about the not the Sung Dynasty. I can't remember. It was the dynasties of China and all of that. And it was far western. I can't remember, far western art or something. But it was amazing to me, and I didn't have an interest in it until then. And I'm like, oh damn, this is kind of nice. Aced it. Got into music class, aced it. And it took me a second. It took me, and I'll tell everybody, it took me about 6 or 7 years to get through college. Because I was
6 years. I did 3 community college, and I did 3 at Cleveland State.
Yeah, it took some time before I started recognizing. And the one thing that really made me recognize school was because it started coming out of my own particular pocket.
Yeah.
My parents stopped, like, look, if you're gonna do this, you got to do it like this. Okay.
Yo, I used to be sought. Like, I remember like working at Radio Shack during like spring break.
Right. Everybody else kicking.
I'm watching MTV. Everybody's in Cancun.
Yep. Yep.
I would get so upset. I was like,
and the fucked up part about it, they ain't even
so
paying
angry.
for it. They ain't
I
even paying for
know. I'm like, I am on 79th and Euclid, Church Square. You know where that's at, right?
Yep.
I'm at Church Square trying to fix these phones for these crackheads.
Yep.
And these people are going hard. Like
drinking, smoking, and doing drugs.
Having orgies and everything. And I'm freaking doing the responsible thing because I'm broke. My family's broke.
Mm-hmm.
Like I used to hate on them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, goddamn, why did God give them so much and me so little?
And it's like I say, man, it's all about, the one thing that they taught you was about that struggle. And you learn that that's something that you don't ever want to go back to.
It's something that I don't know. It's weird. I'm kind of like my father, and I think I told you this. It's like I want my son or sons. They got to be men. All right, they don't have to struggle. They have to understand what it means to struggle. My daughter, princess. Nah, she ain't gonna know what it means to struggle. We'll take care of her. I know that's an effed up mentality, but like in a way.
But at the end of the day, man, your sons ain't gonna never really struggle.
At the end of the day, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna make sure that they don't like.
Right. Say it. Right. It's you're gonna teach them. You're gonna try to teach them to be men and be independent of everything else. But at the same time, they're not going to have the same, for the most part, if you continue doing what you're doing, they're not going to have the same struggle you had. They're gonna have some benefits.
You don't know
And
any. I'm listening.
go ahead, go ahead.
You don't know any dudes that like were privileged that you grew up with that they didn't recognize the they didn't realize how privileged they were and they kind of just wasted it. I know some people.
I'm one of them. I'm
Yeah.
one of them. I tell you that. Yeah, very much so. I had a mother that loved me and a dad that loved me, and that's probably as privileged as you can get. Now, we may not have been in the same household,
I mean, they
but
pay
but go ahead.
they finance your college, right?
Not fully, no. Not
They
fully, no.
did they buy you a car so you could drive to high school?
No one has ever bought me a car. Every car that I've had has been bought
Yeah.
on my own with no help. And when I say no help, I tell you the very key phrase that my mom will say to this day: a grown man buys his own shit. And she doesn't cuss, so a grown man buys his own things. My mom didn't buy no car. She ain't co-signed. The only thing that I can say, but my mom came out of pocket with over the years after I was over 18, and she paid a credit card off of me.
Mm.
And after that, she told me, hey, you got to get that. If you want that, you got to get that. I'm not saying my mom didn't help me out. I ain't saying my mom didn't take care of me. I'm just saying when it was certain things that I wanted or I needed. Even I remember in junior high school, there was a pair of tennis shoes that I wanted. And my mom said, I will not pay over $50 for tennis shoes. If you want to work for it and pay for the remainder of it, it's on you. But this is my threshold. And that's kind of how I've always been. Everybody ain't grow up like that. And I know when you was messing with me about the bike, man, just go buy one. No, no. And you looking at me like, man, you got the money. Yeah, I got it. But I ain't in the position to buy it at the time. That's why I'm like I am why I am now. It took time. And I learned that. Now, is that one of the lessons I'm gonna teach my kids? You damn skippy. You gotta learn that. And again, that's based off of my opinion. Everybody don't go through that. I know lots of people who had nice ass cars when we was in high school. Like, why you get that, man? My people gave me this. What? What you mean your people gave you that? But at the same time, I remember growing up in a family that was a lot of my family was on drugs. Mhm. And people used to be like, man, I remember telling them, man, I never smoked marijuana. I did. But I tell you one thing I ain't never do. I ain't never do no coke. I ain't never do no crack. I ain't never do no ecstasy. I ain't never did. I couldn't do it. Because I remember, again, it's based off of how you grew up. I remember seeing that shit. I remember seeing those downfalls. I remember seeing people be on the low. I've had conversations with one of my family members who's schizophrenic. And I remember calling him crazy myself. Now some of the stuff that he was telling me as a youngster is all starting to come to fruition. And it freaked me out. Like, damn, am I crazy too? But at the same time, maybe he was just a little bit above his time. Maybe he had an understanding that most people, I'm not saying that he didn't have mental issues, he did. But I don't think it was all 100%. Everything that came out of his mouth was fucked up. Maybe he just saw things at a different light than most people saw it. And if he started talking, since you already knew he had issues, that's the first thing you're going to associate it with.
I
I remember.
remember. I remember
Go ahead.
making this. I remember making this observation. I was talking to this lawyer, and we were like downtown Miami. And I don't know how it came up, but we started talking about like I guess like homeless people or whatever. And I was like, you know what? In a way, I don't understand. Like these people that talk to themselves, like we treat them like they're weird. All right, I treat them like they're weird. But honestly, I talk to myself all the time when no one's looking at me. I think out
Right.
loud.
Right. But you
All
don't
right,
associate it like that. You don't
but
associate.
but but
They're just
but
comfortable.
they're weird because whether they're conscious of it or not, and maybe they're not conscious of it, maybe I was like, they got the balls to do it while people are around them. I
But
don't.
but hold up. But just as quickly as you just gave it a whole disclaimer, why does it have to be a disclaimer? Maybe you just been taught to have that disclaimer. The same way I say that that one family member was tagged as being mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
You don't take into consideration that you may be having the same thought process. And I remember talking to a family member like, yo, um, maybe I am going crazy, or maybe I got a lot of him in me. And he was like, why? And I'm like, I'm having the same thoughts. And he like, well, no, well. And one of the very first things that I remember coming back to me as a result of that conversation was that what most people don't take into consideration, that he was extremely intelligent, extremely, like even to the point where he was like, our family grew up on chess, and it was something I had to learn at an early age. Now, I pushed off a lot of it, but I learned that in life you got to do the same thing. You got to think a couple moves past people. And like I said, we talked about the 48 powers of law. We talk about a lot of books that a lot of this information is already out there, but we can't just associate, hey, we kind of saw this as we were growing up, because you got so many disclaimers. He's mentally ill, or he ain't in the right place, man. Oh, he don't go to church, or it's a lot. It's so many disclaimers out here that put you in a place that you're so quick to disown, or not even disown, just sidestep other people's thought process.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean it's wrong, but the way you were brought up, that's the first thing they're gonna tell you. Oh yeah, oh he crazy. Why he crazy? Well, he crazy because he thinks this, that, and the other. But what about that last statement he said? That shit was pretty spot on. And like I say, the one family member I'm talking about, he was extremely pro-black, and I ain't understand it. I was saying the same thing my friend said. Nah, man, you know, all lives matter, man. Blah 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 blah. That doesn't mean that you're automatically at a disadvantage. Why are you automatically at a disadvantage? Barack Obama was president. Do you see what the fuck he went through? And the same way that they talk about what's her name? Michelle Obama.
Oh
They
yeah.
was talking about her so crazy about having sleeveless dresses. Listen to what we talking about. Sleeveless dresses. Now we got a presidential elect's wife, first lady, who's been in the nude on out in the open. And that for me, I don't give a fuck about that. That doesn't matter to me. That's your past.
Yeah,
But
but a black president, they won't let that ride at all. Uh,
exactly. Exactly. I mean, but so that's why I say, when people start talking like that, it's like, how do you even have the same conversation? It's because that's what they want you to do. I believe that there's an extreme push back on keeping everybody separate, and I think the reasoning for that is because now that there's so much information that's so readily available to you, you have to take it to another level. We're not talking about the '60s where there's only certain prefaces, there are certain levels of or certain areas where you can get information. We got the same levels of information we had then times like a million. The internet is plentiful now. It's plentiful of bullshit, and it's plentiful of real facts. Will you take out the time to look into it? The other thing I wanted to speak on was, and this is a question for you and me. I talked to a cousin of mine, and I went and saw Chirac, and I was
I talked
so,
to the dude from Chicago yesterday. I was asking him about that.
and I talked to her about it, and she had her view, and I had a completely different view of it, and I was lost. Like, well, why do you? But at the end of it, our conversation was this. Well, what are you doing to make sure that the next generation doesn't follow that same suit? And I didn't have an answer.
Move him out the bird. I mean, move him to the bird.
No, no, no. Because
Well,
again, like I said, you grew up in the suburbs, but I'm pretty sure you also had intelligent friends that lived in the hood, correct? Come on.
Oh, cousins, yeah.
Well, did you have you ever met anybody from the inner city that was intelligent?
The
Yes or no?
background.
Yes or no?
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, from when I went to the hall, them, yeah.
Okay, well, okay, again, because I think you're trying to place it in a specific realm, a
I'm trying to
specific
think of a
circle.
specific faces.
Well, okay, well, don't think about. Have you ever met anybody that was from the inner city
You
that
talking about from
was
childhood
intelligent
or what?
as you grew up? Even now and nowadays, did your
Uh,
friend did your friend that you had a conversation with, do you figure him as an intelligent person?
I don't really know this guy. He's in LA. We were just recording. Yeah, we had an
Okay.
intelligent conversation.
Okay, so I don't want to use that as a point because you'll have a segue for it. Um, I just think that okay, I'll put it on this, and I know this is something we usually talk about. So think about the dope boys and the dope dealers that you may have, maybe you may maybe not have met. I've met over the years. These dudes are running organizations, not businesses, but organizations,
Hmm.
and they're doing like big figures. But at the same time, based off of how they grew up, that's the only way that they know how to do something. They don't take it into consideration that you're literally running an enterprise,
Hmm.
like a business, like some of these other people are running. You're doing something that'll legitimately just put you in jail or get you killed. But you're making hundreds of thousands and some making millions. But we're not allowed to count that as legitimate business. We're not allowed to count that as a situation where these people have done something and in some instances incorporated something to 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 further themselves, in today's society. What if these dudes automatically, grew up in a different situation where they learned how to use that for positive stuff? Or I don't want to say positive because that dictates everything else is negative. But what if they put that in a situation where they're in a situation to run a corporation, run their own businesses?
You know,
We don't. Go ahead.
I think there's more barriers to entry.
But again, and that's all I'm saying. So, like I say, the whole reason why I brought that up is that you can't even, we might, as you listen to rap music and you see these movies and see the shit that's on TV, they promote that, but we know it's a wrong thing. Imagine if it was vice versa. What if it was, automatic? It was always the positive type standpoint. What if the inner city had just the same equal opportunities as any other city or suburb or rural area? Where would we be? But you have to
But you
keep
know
the.
what? I didn't mean to cut you off,
Yes, you did.
but they they don't just talk about it; they glamorize it. There's a difference
But there's a reason why it's glamorized, man. That's all I'm saying.
because they're making money
There's
off
a
of it.
reason for that.
Because it's cool to talk
Of
about at the
course.
expense of other people losing their lives to it.
But at the same time, what you don't take into consideration is you're looking at this rapper who might be making 50 million over 10 years. You don't take in consideration the machine that is behind him
No, I do.
making billions.
I do.
Okay. Well, and
You're not
that's all
giving
I'm
me
saying.
enough credit.
I'm not saying that. I'm just going off of what you said.
All right, so we have to spend the last 5 minutes talking about tech.
All right. So, what about tech?
So you don't talk about your job anymore. I noticed that in my conversations with you. Why is that? Have you found that there's other things worth investing your discussions about?
I've learned not to get angry over it anymore. I think it's more of an ownership thing. I've learned that there's certain things that I control and there's certain things that I can't control. Um, I do believe a good 70% of where I'm at is because of my own laziness. Uh, and complaining about it isn't going to help. The one thing that I did start, and I know we've talked about this before, is I don't let a lot of the BS or bad situations dictate, how I deal with stuff. I try to go into work with a positive attitude because I know I can do more. And I've started to do that. And I've started to see, some positives and some negatives as a result. Um, uh, I just think I started to take into consideration what I brought to the table. And I'm not saying that, I just came into work and didn't do anything, but I at times I got comfortable and didn't work to my ability. And when I started working towards my ability, I started to see my ability grow. And I talked to you and my father or whatever, and I really started. I didn't associate where I'm at right now or where I could be, and I stopped looking at work as a bad thing. Hey, this is just where you're at right now. You're working to get more. Continue, and that's what I've been doing. It's a learning experience.
What is it like to work with developers? Do you have the same relationship with developers that you had 3 years ago?
I would say no.
Is it you?
I,
Is it you versus them, or is there
I
more
don't
of
think.
a?
You know what? I think that, and again, in my current situation, I think it was. I don't want to say proving myself because I think that sounds pretty messed up, but I do think that the more that I learned, the more that and that goes with technical and that goes with interpersonal skills on how to deal with people and how to get people to do what I'm looking for them to do. Now, I may not work out every time, but I did learn that, in order for me to talk to certain folks, you have to come with your T's crossed and your I's dotted. And some folks, it could just be a simple suggestion. And some people just don't want to hear it. But at the same time, I've learned that some people you have to step over and some people you got to work with. And some people you just got to shut up and listen. So it's all interpersonal. It's all communication. Something I always talk to you about. It's always communication.
So we got two people that are observing this conversation. Shelby actually lives in Cleveland. I met him at Phoenix Coffee in Cleveland Heights by South Taylor and Cedar.
Shelby, what does his? Don't say his last name. Does it start with a P?
Yeah,
I know him.
I know him
Tell him we
too.
worked at the same. Is he bald headed?
Yeah,
I know exactly who you talking. Hey, what up, Shelby?
he was supposed to do a WPF certification with me. He's like, yeah,
Tell
yeah, I'm down. And
tell
then
him tell him I said what up. He know who I'm. He know who I am. He
uh,
knows who I am. We worked at the same company a couple months ago.
let's see if he says anything. And then Gabriel, he said,
I didn't know you knew Shelby. That's funny.
yeah, we were in the same Spanish speaking conversation group at the coffee shop. I think his girlfriend was in it, and he was like being supportive or something. Um, I need to get back into that. Miami, man. No one wants to talk Spanish to me in Miami, man.
You
Racist
you
city.
you you're you're going past the subject, man. Get back to the
Okay, okay,
subject.
okay, okay, okay.
Tech. Get back to tech.
So Gabriel's like, define how you work to your ability.
Define how I work to my ability.
Yeah, you said
Um,
that you before you weren't working to your ability.
well, one of the things that at least I like to think that I am. I think that I do learn quickly. But at the same time, the problem that I run into with learning quickly is that I get immediately comfortable with the level that I'm at the time. So, say in the situation that I'm in right now, there might be some new software that comes out. I can learn at surface level like this, but with me, we deal with databases, we deal with a lot of SQL. I could use my SQL abilities just to be on a surface level to be able to do simple statements or whatever. But what I started to do is I started finding out there were courses and different things to learn about, SQL Server, the SQL language, even how our application worked, instead of just sitting there and, you know, and this is not a braggadocious type thing, but um, when you look at the workers that you're around, you can quickly gauge where you're at in most levels. And, you might have some people who have, problems, learning new stuff, and you might have people who just quickly grasp it. As long as you fit within that middle area, you're all right. Because if you're only, depending on where you're at and your level of understanding with the business and what they feel your performance is, you can gauge yourself off of that. So if quarterly I'm going over these evaluations, I know where I can sit. I know where I can sit comfortably. I don't have to advance, or I can advance. And that was one of the things that I could say. That's how I learned my ability. Um, for times I would, I walked into a situation where, I was doing a lot more than a lot of other people, but I was being graded off of myself. So and I'll use some older company levels, or what, you can be a meets or you can be an exceeds. Now you may have exceeded in that first quarter, and at that level of what you have to do to exceed. Now, for some, if they did that, they get an exceeds plus a pay raise plus this. But from the pure fact that they know that this is the level that you normally work at, that exceeds isn't an exceeds for you anymore. That's just a meets for you. That was one of the things that I learned about my ability, is that um, once I hit that exceeds, is why stay at that level for what? I'm not going to get anything from it. And that's how I kind of just sat there and, well, I'll just do what I got to do. I'm gonna be better than the rest of these people, but I'm not gonna but keep busting my hump to go to another level. But then it got to a point, and I remember talking to you about building my own brand, and that helped out a lot about not listening, not following everybody else, and try to follow my own type of my own. What's the best way to say it? Learn about my level, or learn about what I can do, and
Carving your own path.
That's the best way to say it. There you go. So and it kind of got into that situation. It's as I started to progress where I'm at, it's I will say that I did learn a lot about being able to see other people and dealing with other people. You see those different levels, and it's not saying that you're better than anybody else, but at the same time, you do learn, uh, how to deal with people, and in all honesty, how to deal with yourself. What are you willing to put up with? What are you not willing to put up with? What are you willing to do for yourself outside of the company? And I remember, having multiple conversations with you about, building the industry and not the company. And, in certain instances, when I started to take some of that advice, it really started to help me out. And I didn't get so angry about, man, I did this and I did that for them, and I did this, that, and that, and they didn't even appreciate it. Well, Ryan, but you did it for yourself. So this is something that you could put on your resume, or you could put, out there about yourself. And it helped a lot, because I didn't take every situation as what was the company going to do for me as a payback. Fuck them. This is all about you.
Now you're starting to sound like me.
No, but at the same time, again, you're a part of the situations that we've had countless conversations about this, and it didn't make sense at the time.
You starting to sound like me now.
No, and like I said, and they'll look at you like, well, where did all this? And in some instances, the people that are around me, they're thinking they helped me get there. Like, no, not really, but I don't have to tell you that this wasn't your action that helped me get here. I don't have to denounce what you feel. If that's what you feel and it helps you progress, keep going. Because I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep learning. I'm gonna keep, taking the information that you give me and do my best to make it better. Now, the company uh, may move forward based off of it. They may not. I feel if as long as I'm learning, that's one of my biggest my goal. One of my goals. I rather just keep learning. Why not? I just get better. You may not pay me for it, but somebody will. So, or I'll start paying myself. So there you go.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I think I'm at a plateau in my career.
I don't think you are. I just think you're at a low.
My career?
Yeah,
What's
I
the
just
difference
think
between
you're
a
at a
low and a
low.
plateau?
I don't know. I did no. I just think it's a situation where you're you've. No, I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this.
Man, just be blind. I don't
No,
care. It's
I'm
getting late.
I just think you're being a broad. No, and I can't say a broad. I think you're being a bitch.
I don't think you're manning up. Is that what you want to say?
That's no, I say it the way I want to say it. I'm gonna say it how I'm saying it. I think you're being a bitch.
All right, how's
No,
that?
but no, in Scott terms, man up. I do think that, like you say, you're at a lull, and you've been going at a situation a certain type of way for a while now, and you've progressed. Now you're expecting to get to that next level, and you haven't pushed yourself.
The hell I have.
See, and like I said, this again. I think that it got to a point where you expected certain things to come around. But I honestly, out of all of my friends and all the people that I've been around, I do think that you have what it takes to be a multi-millionaire. But but there starts to, at times there's expectations that you feel that you should be getting. And this goes back to one of the one of the jobs that we had constant conversations about. And I'm like, well, Scott, you can't keep coming at people like that. But no, Ryan, because I think that if they did this and they did that, and again, you didn't even take out time. And I remember saying, man, go get you a book about communicating with people. No, man, but you don't understand. They come in doing this. They don't want to change their ways. They don't want to do this. The same person that made me read the 48 Powers of Law. That
48
month,
laws of power. I'm going to correct you this
I'm
time.
sorry.
48 laws
You
of
know what I'm
power.
talking about. Okay, I apologize. I apologize to the two viewers that we have.
By Robert Greene. Ah.
Yes. But at the same time, it was like I say, this goes back into what we were talking about before. You'll go through all these situations and you only hear what you want to hear.
Yeah.
So this is one of those situations where I kept telling you, like, dude, you can pull these people out. How can you tell this one developer who might even be new, and he's trying to get accustomed to what their ways of doing things are, and you're telling you want them to do differently. You can't just walk in and kick down the door. Hold up, ain't done. Kick down the door. Now you might be able to talk to these people, go out to lunch with them, have a conversation. Don't demean people, and they will. I'm telling you, they will follow. Now you might know, Ryan, but I'm trying to tell them. I went ahead. This dude told me it took him 3 weeks to build this code. I did it in a day.
Yeah,
They're not
that sounds
you.
like me.
Yeah, they're not you. Now they can get to the level of where you're at and being able to do it in a day, but you don't want to help people get there. The same type of talks and the efforts that look how long it took for me to even kind of slightly associate to what you were saying. It took a
Yeah.
while. But listen to what I'm saying. It took a while
Why?
because I wasn't on that level. I wasn't in that understanding. We didn't grow up the same. We didn't go through the same stuff. We didn't learn the same stuff. We didn't learn at the same pace.
You don't have the same hunger I have?
I may not have had that hunger at the time because I may not have wanted that hunger.
Uh,
Maybe I was comfortable in doing what I was doing. Maybe I didn't understand the potential that I may have had. Everybody don't, again, just like you're in a lull, you might meet Bobby Millionaire that might talk to you the same way, and we talked about this before. You have a completely different type of outlook when you talk to a millionaire or a billionaire.
I'll talk to millionaires.
Listen to what I'm saying.
All right, I'm listening.
But you won't have that same type of conversation with Joe Blow, who just got out of school and he's okay with this internship of making $30 an hour. You don't have that same conversation. You don't have that same type of, ooh, let me hear what you got to say.
No,
Let me hear what.
Motivate them.
Right. But again, sometimes your motivation doesn't come across as motivation. Sometimes as you belittle people. Sometimes you like I normally say, you shit on people. Yeah. Now, I can handle it. I tell you, fuck you, and we'll talk another day. But 3 days later, we'll talk again. We'll have that same conversation. Or it might be 6 weeks from now. Man, you was right. Now, you don't have that same opportunity with some of these people. I told you can have a lot of followers. A lot of followers.
Yeah, that's what Rick was saying. Rick was like, Scott, you're a leader. I'm like, the hell I am. I'm a lone wolf. I don't have followers. But whatchamacallit, he said something, and like, I think you should listen to it because y'all saying the same thing. Damn, what's his name? What is his name? I gotta figure out his name. But he's not in Chicago, but he's in Illinois, and he was saying, he's like, Scott, you have to recognize that people don't change by revolution. It's by evolution, and he's like, you have to understand that it's evolution and not revolution. And what you're trying to do, Scott, is you're trying to be like Obama and bring great change to people that
aren't ready to change.
For one thing, they're not looking. You don't. For one thing, based on the way you look on the exterior, they don't expect it to come from you. Okay, he didn't say that. No, I'm saying that. And he was saying that the majority of human beings, it's going to take time and convincing.
Yep.
Not shouting commands and not making them feel dumb.
Yep. Did I not say that when we was talking about that last job? Did I not say that when we was talking about that last job?
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying. So just as quickly as I said it, you didn't take heed. Like, you know what? Ryan's right. I'm just gonna go ahead and take care of this and start this tomorrow. This dude just said the same thing. It's not like you just tomorrow, like, you know what? I'm gonna start doing this tomorrow. It takes time. I've always said that to you. It takes freaking time.
Terrence McGee. Well, so I argue about his name is Terrence McGee. Like, he's a cool dude, man. He's a programmer. I had him on here like twice. But it takes time. It takes time. Look, for y'all, it takes time. For
you, it takes time.
No,
too.
For me, it's a goddamn decision.
No, it's not. No,
it's not.
No, it's not. Okay. Because Scott, you didn't come out making the decisions you made when you first got out of high school. You didn't. I saw you. I saw you dealing with females. You could have said, you know what, tomorrow I'm.
And you know what? I got to a point where I had enough.
Listen to what you. Just as quickly as you talk, you don't hear yourself talking.
I'm listening.
You just said I got to a point where enough was enough. You know how long I've known you? You know how long I kept saying, man, you can get these bras. No, man, Ryan, I just don't get it like you guys get it. And you still say that.
And I'm like, put my business out here, man.
You put my business out here.
The hell I did. I haven't said anything personal.
Yes, I did. You put me online. So once you put me online, you put my business out there.
All right, fine. So, let's go. Tit for tat. Let's go.
No, it's not tit for tat. This is an actual conversation.
All right.
And it's just as quickly as you could say something like that. And when you start to build that confidence, and you just walk up to a female and say, you could be terrified about going to talk to this female, but you know what you actually did? You went out and talked to her. You may have got shot down. What did you do? You kept it moving. There's another chick I think I may be interested in. You do the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Someone had to build you up and put this information into you before you started to really digest it and make it your own. Now, just as quickly as you could say you're scared to do it, back in the day, 6 years ago, you'd have been scared and wouldn't have did nothing. You wouldn't have did a thing. You'd have, I'm gonna go talk to her. I'm gonna go talk. Oh no, pew! I ain't gonna talk to her. That's not you anymore. You like you say, you evolved.
Yeah, that's
But
only
you don't.
when I'm by myself. When I got my friends with me, I'm a G. I start pounding my
Okay, but let's
chest.
right. So imagine, like I say, the past situation that you know I'm talking about. Imagine you being at this situation. You're talking to people. You see things aren't going the way you want them to go. You can have these conversations. You could build, like I told you, build relationships with these people. And then maybe they'll start to follow what you're saying. Because you were showing them, but when you're showing them, you're demeaning them. You're pushing them down. Well, how do I get that? And then you start to realize, you know what? I can help him out. This guy is extremely intelligent. He just became a part of whatever was going on, and he got comfortable. I'm gonna try to take him out of his comfort zone. Let me help him. Well, Scott, I tried this and it didn't work. Well, hey, let's talk about it. Let's see how we can get this to a better situation. Like homeboy said.
What's your, I'm listening.
Go ahead. Say what you gotta say. Go ahead.
Some people. This sounds really ignorant. I know it sounds ignorant, but I know it sounds ignorant, but I think there's some truth. I think there's some scenarios where there's some truth. There's some people out there that think that they're too good for my help. And
some people are too good for your help.
I think there's people out there that have this superiority complex about themselves.
Like you?
In which, what are you talking about? I'm humble.
No, what the hell you?
What?
Are you kidding me, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they have this thing where like, this dude, where did he come from? You trying to educate me? You trying to tell me how to do my job?
You know what that sounds like? You know what that sounds like?
No, I don't.
And I'm gonna be your friend about this, but at the same time, I'm gonna be truthful. Sounds like insecurity.
Are you talking about me or them?
You.
Okay.
I believe that.
I said some people.
Well, again, I'm saying that there are going to be people who don't want to hear what you got to fucking say, and that's the truth. Well, but listen to what I'm saying. I do believe you can't put all people in that area.
No, I'm not.
Listen.
God damn it! You keep pausing. I think I can't. Okay,
I'm not pausing. You just keep trying to jump in. Listen, you do the same thing, the same way we had conversations literally about a year ago, and I'm like, well, Scott, man, you know. Maybe if you, no, man, Ryan, I be in these meetings, man, and these people stupid, man. I be trying to say this, and I try to help them out with this. It took this dude, I told this dude about this 3 weeks ago. I did it in a day. Why he can't do it in a day? Because he ain't you. Or maybe he ain't got the motivation. Or maybe he just tired. He know he can, fall under the lines and do whatever he got to do to keep his job. I understand where you're coming from, but again, as a leader, and it's what you are, you can help people get to a higher level. Now, you have to get back, and then we talked about this before, being comfortable with not leading. And that's, I think, the model that you've built at this particular point, you don't know any other way other than to lead, but you lead yourself. Now, once you start to build, you start to do that.
Exactly.
What?
I agree with you.
No. So again, but if you can get back into a situation, or not even a situation, if you get an understanding that, hey, this is how you dealt with yourself. This ain't how you're going to deal with everybody else. This is the same reason why I said, man, you need these communication books, or you need something to help you communicate a little bit better.
Dude, I'm taking massive and consistent action, man, for like freaking 6 to 8 weeks. This proves that I can communicate with other human beings and laugh and smile with them. I've been talking to complete strangers.
No, we're
No,
not talking
you gonna
about.
hear me out on this one.
Go ahead, I'll listen.
I've been talking to complete strangers. All right. I've been talking to every ethnicity. I still got to get an Asian on here, but I've been talking to.
Wow.
Besides that, I've been talking to every ethnicity. Right. I've been talking to people from Australia, people
Okay.
in Europe, people in
Okay.
Africa.
Okay.
I need to get a South American on here.
Okay.
But pretty much like the whole coalition of the willing. Oh, I've been talking
Of the willing. There you go. You just segregated half a group.
I've been talking to strangers, people that know nothing about me, and I've been vibing with them. I have yet.
We're not talking about
to record a
vibing.
conversation with a jerk. Like,
we're not vibing.
I can talk. I'm
gonna be your jerk then. I'm gonna be your jerk today. So
Scott, I don't want you to be a jerk.
You're wrong. So no, what I'm saying is we're not talking about random folks. We're talking about people that you work with, or that you're working for, or they're working for you.
Well, these random folks I picked out because they're interested. We both
exactly.
The people at work.
Exactly.
People are lifers, man. They
not but Scott.
I'm the scallywag.
Scott.
These are the factory workers. I got something to prove.
But Scott,
and they complaining because I'm like a high performer. Yo, you doing too much. You need to slow down. You're making us look bad.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. When you were still in your hometown and you had the internship and the place that you worked for, how long did you work for that company after you
I did 7 years.
Okay, so 7 years you was a worker.
7 years I was a student.
Hold on. No.
Okay.
No, you came in. You was working. You was putting.
No,
in time,
I came in. I did 3 years as a co-op, and I did another 3 years.
Did you get paid?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're a worker.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
No, yeah, you're a worker. So, in those 7 years, or those 3 years while you were co-oping, you were a worker. Okay. You may not have known too much about software, just what you did at school and what you did on your home computer, but you learned a lot, correct? And yep. I'm pretty sure you had mentors, correct, that helped you get a little bit further. Okay, yep. You can be one of those. Maybe there's another Scott or a Scott times 5 that you have come across, but you didn't treat them as a mentor. You weren't treating them and acting as a mentor. You're acting like an ass. And you were making them feel bad about how they worked.
Look.
Okay. No, we're not looking at nothing. I'm talking. Now, I'm not saying everybody is going to be, oh, he soaked up this information and made it better. It's not going to happen. It's unrealistic. But I'm pretty sure there are some.
You know how, like, they rejected the Messiah? The Messiah was supposed to come down and show them the proper way of doing things.
Okay.
Need I say more? Need I say more? I come down to show you.
But at the same time, you can't take it just one-sided, because at the end of the day, he was the most humble person you'll ever meet, if that's what you believe in, and he tried to teach everybody.
Dude, I'm humble too, man.
No, you're not.
I learned humility.
No, you didn't. Can I speak? So if you're gonna take that, you can't just take one part of it. Oh, they rejected him. But at the same time, how many followers did he have? How many followers does he have now? How many followers do you have? That's what you don't check. You got to check yourself. And don't try to count it out and saying you got 6 people online right now.
I got Twitter.
That's what I'm saying.
People keep unsubscribing from me.
But at the same time, let them unsubscribe. But at the same time, you can't change nobody but yourself. And that no matter how you look at it, a lot of the stuff that you go through is as a result of how you treat folks.
No. Let's talk about that. Okay. Now, I know I'm beating a dead horse. I know. But I'm gonna pull it out.
By the time you start pulling out, go ahead.
So I might try to be an agent of change. I might be a catalyst, you know, for continuous improvement.
Mhm.
Not it being lip service, but it being demonstrated, right?
Okay.
I
Okay.
might try really, really hard to make people better because that's what I do.
No.
And I'm not lying. No, that is what I do. I try really hard. I try really hard to make myself better. I try really hard to share what I've learned.
Hmm.
And
That's
and
true.
and I might be stereotyped as obsessed, right?
That's okay.
Like, yo, this dude Scott, man,
You have to be obsessed with something. Go
this
ahead.
dude, he got OCD. This dude got obsessed. Yo, like, I think Scott needs therapy. There's some like psychological issues. Like, why is he so like stuck on this, right? Now, give me like maybe I don't want to pull the card,
Pull the card.
but someone else that might have the same standards that I have or that I would like to hold myself to. Okay. They try really hard to drive change in the right direction, right?
Hmm.
I'm not going to pull the card. Those people may not be labeled obsessed, um, has issues. Those people, instead of being labeled obsessed, they're labeled he's dedicated, he's driven, right?
Okay. Okay.
You see my point? I
No, I
think
don't.
my point is, I
I
think I demonstrate the exact same thing,
Nope. I don't think you do.
but I'm perceived differently.
I don't think you do.
Man, go to
And
hell, Ryan. You're just like Rick Pack, man.
so I think that the difference, and no, I don't even say the difference because I can't speak on it because I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know the people that you're referring to. I think you are obsessed, but I think that's a good thing. When
I'm
as some,
dedicated.
yeah, if there's something that you love, that's what you're supposed to be. But at the same time, we can put this on music, and that's the one thing I can speak on. One of the things that I did learn about about my guitar playing was you could be obsessed about it and you can have your own way of doing it. But that doesn't take into consideration that you can't learn from other folks. That doesn't mean that you have to do everything your own way and your own way is the only way to do it. I'm not saying that you don't it's not okay to adjust, but you have a tendency to when there's outside thought, that outside thought is automatically no. Now, it's not at times, I'm not saying all the time. At times your automatic no is completely based off of your own freaking opinion. Oh, I don't think that's the way to go, so I'm not going to listen to it. Well, Scott, hey, this is what some people believe, and you know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't.
No. When so let's talk about Miami few maybe a year or two ago, and you try to denounce what people
Oh, okay,
believe.
okay.
Yeah, I know you know what I'm talking about. So instead of trying to get an understanding of where they're at, once they disagree, it's a mute point. It's a stupid point. And you're going to make that known. Like, well, Scott, what did you find? No, because they kept saying this. And then they go to that canned statement. Okay, why don't you learn about that canned statement? I don't need to learn about that canned statement because it's stupid. And I don't want to learn about it. Okay.
Really? That's how it sounds?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you get into that idea, you automatically denounce that they have any type of basis of feeling the way they feel. And the one thing I told you before, and this goes with females as well, when you can't tell somebody that they're wrong about how they feel. Because to them, that is the one truest thing that they have at the moment. It's their feeling.
No,
It may not
what
listen,
they
no, no,
have is
listen,
their
listen.
belief system.
Listen to what I'm saying, Scott.
It's
But
poor
listen, listen
choice
to
of words. It's
no,
belief
it's
system.
not. No, it's not. Because to them, that is their truth, and that's how they feel. It may not have any relevance to you, but to them, it's all their relevance. You
So,
can't tell them that, listen, you can't tell them that they're wrong. Now, I'm not saying that they aren't wrong, but you can't tell somebody that what they feel is wrong. It's their feelings. That's it. The same way you be like, oh, you don't, a woman could be getting beat down every day. But if she feels that she loves that man, you can't say, oh, you stupid for the, you can't feel like that. You don't love him. You can't tell somebody that what they feel is wrong. You can't. It may be the dumbest situation that they've ever been in, but it's their feeling. And that's their only truth at that time. So you
well,
can't do that.
I work in computer engineering. I work in software development. It's beyond feeling.
Oh, not
It's
true.
logical.
No, because
You're a
no,
hater.
no,
You say no to everything I say.
I do, because I don't always have to agree with you. And that's
No,
why
I'm
we always
right.
talk. No, because the same way that you felt that you should be programming 3 years ago is not the way that you do it now. It's not. You learned more. Now, at the
Okay.
time, you felt that that was the correct way to do it. Now, based off of your understanding and your knowledge of the product, that was your way of doing it. You didn't have any other way to think about it. Now, when Joe Blow comes, Scott Dog 2 comes into your company and shows that shit up. Everybody isn't just, oh, I'm just going to accept that and just go with it, because they don't, that's not their feeling. They've learned a certain type of way. This is how they reacted towards it, and that's the way they go. You don't take out time to help people
The hell I
to
did.
get, listen to what I'm saying.
Right,
Listen
man.
to what I'm saying, man.
Okay.
You don't go out of your way to help people to get to that point of having an understanding of where you're coming from.
I don't do
It's
that.
no, you
Have I done it
force
with
it.
you? Mm.
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
Okay.
You know what I did? I continue to be your friend.
Oh,
I've been called.
thanks.
Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. I've continued to be your friend, even if I didn't agree with you at the time. You can say the same shit over and over and over and over again, and I still don't listen. Maybe one day it'll hit. The same thing we just talked about 20 minutes ago. It takes time. I had to evolve. You might have been a part of it, but at the time I wasn't there. The same way I just brought it up with you in your favorite thing, program.
See, that's how they treated the Messiah. They rejected him.
But
Like,
okay, so what? You're not the Messiah.
God put me on this earth to program computers, and like people should learn from me.
Maybe. Maybe there's something that you just don't know that you got. Maybe you are a leader and you maybe need to be teaching people about other stuff. You don't know that yet. You ain't dead, and you haven't learned everything that you can learn. So you don't know.
All right, man.
Yep, that's right. I'm so oh yeah, that's right. But all I'm saying is, and as many times as you've called me, oh right, just stupid, Ryan. Oh man, well I don't even know what you think like that, Ryan. That's the dumbest thing. Well,
That's
if
how
you
I
don't,
sound. That's how I sound.
if you
You
don't want to,
impersonating me. That's how I
if you
sound.
don't, I can't believe you would do that, Ryan. Really, Ryan? You're gonna stay there? You're gonna stay there? Why, Ryan? That's stupid. That's just stupid. I've seen you over the years deal with situations like, Scott, man, you can't do that, man. No, Ryan, you gotta understand. When I say this, this was supposed to be. Scott, yo, Scott, man, just take my advice. Listen, I'm not gonna go down that road and put your business out there. But if you take out some time, you'll know what I'm talking about. Hey, Scott, don't go that route because it go bad for you. No, man, screw that. If it don't happen like this, it's my way. And then you learn that quick lesson, like, damn, I shouldn't have did that. This, that, and the other. But no, well, man, but Ryan, at the time, it was, hey, dude, I'm trying to tell you something I know about that you don't.
All right, I get it.
All
Stop.
right, then. So don't take me down that level, man. I understand where you're coming from. So all I'm saying is, as quickly as you learn these lessons, you don't accept it and then help others with it. It's an acceptance. You move forward and you want to progress. But there's other people who, at the same time, they might be at the same level as you. They're just not all the way there yet. They may not have that understanding. Help them get there. And you're going to fail. Every everybody's not going to roll with that shit. They're not. And that's okay. You move on. And then you move on. And then you move on. Then you get better and you move on. And then you try to help more people. And then you move forward and then you help more people. And I guarantee you'll have more followers. I know that's a messed up way of saying it, but you will. That's just how it goes. And that's plain and simple. No, Ryan, but what? Nah. Right, that's your fault. How's it my fault when blah 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 blah? Because that's what it is, man. It's simple for me to see it. You may not have seen it at the time, but it happens.
I'm getting sleepy.
Well, go to bed, man.
You've been talking to me the whole time.
Well, go to bed then.
Oh.
That's because you like to talk and be the you want to be the head of the talk. You can't do that with me. It's not.
I've been listening the whole time.
It's not gonna happen. I run this. This is my podcast going on because I'm Ryan Dog. Okay.
Yeah, that's why it took me 3 months to finally get you on here.
It did, and like I said, hey, you on my
I
time.
was pissed off at you yesterday.
I know you was. You
I
was
was
like a little female.
I was like,
I was gonna apologize, but I said nope. I'm gonna let him soak this up. And I waited a whole day to send you a text. I waited a whole day to send you a text, and you acted like a female. I'm not gonna text him when he texts me. I'm gonna wait till half an hour before. Because you was acting like a little girl. Because I know you like that. And what did I do? I accepted it and I called you.
I was doing other things.
I don't care what you was doing.
I don't care. Chilling.
I'm not saying you would. I'm not. Yeah, it ain't take you no 12 hours to send no text back.
Yeah.
I know it. Doing. My name is Scott Dog, and when I say do something, you better do. Oh, he's not gonna do it. I'm not even gonna respond.
No, you know, my whole big thing is we set
chick
an appointment.
Like chick.
Set a
okay, wait. And things change. That's
look. I'm the only person that can break appointments, man.
Like, oh, there exactly. And I'm gonna let you know. Anytime you deal with me, I'm gonna make sure you know that whatever you thought was the way it's supposed to go, it's not gonna be that.
Or you're not being submissive.
I'm who the hell gonna be submissive to you? I'm a grown ass man. You better recognize. I'm submissive at work because I don't have a choice. With you as a friend, I have all the choices in the world. Ryan, you gonna do it? Nope. You gonna do it now? Nope.
You shouldn't be bragging about that.
Hey, I can do what I want, man. My name is. I was about to say my whole government. I ain't gonna do that. My name is Ryan. I'm not that type of person, and you should know that by now. Oh, this Ryan guy. He does what he wants at times. Yeah, I learned from you. I did. I ain't do it on purpose. Like I said, the circumstances kind of got away from me, and I didn't want to call you when I was drinking because I was watching the game. But at the same time, it was just like I was like, oh, he about to. I told Raj the same thing. I said, man, he about to act like a little broad.
I was pissed off at Raj too. I'm like,
this dude is so upset right now, man. I can't believe he did that, man. I don't understand why.
Who stops in the middle of a hick town? It's like, hey, I'm here. Like, I'm like,
no, he hit me up.
He's in the middle of nowhere.
I'm gonna roll through. Come on through, man. He a friend.
Man, F him.
Okay, well, then he didn't know nothing about what you had going on. Nor was I about to be like, hey, you can't come over because I got to call Scott.
Tell him to give me back my 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He still got that book.
Well, you call him. You got to
call him. That's your boy.
You be a man about it and call him.
I don't have his number. He pissed me off.
I text it to you.
All right. Yeah, it's been productive.
I know. Hey, tell all your followers. Hey, I'm glad you guys followed. I appreciate the time and effort for you guys listening to me rant. If you have any feedback, please leave your feedback. Please continue hitting Scott up with his podcast / bitch fest.
Yeah. I would say Vent Fest. But,
okay, well, I'll use more PG. His Vent Fest, and let's keep it going, y'all. Communication is one of the key values of the world, and this is one way of doing it, a new way of doing it.
That's what's up.
All right, man.
All right, homie. I appreciate it. Gracias.
Yep.
No, bye. 3, 2, 1.